Hello, I'm making a little introduction for the first part of my painting series for the YouTube channel that I'm making, and it's about painting this brook trout, and it's going to be parts of maybe 25 to 30 minutes each, showing how I do it. And the first part isn't going to go this far. This is not quite finished, but it's closer to the end than this part is going to stop. And my ambition here is to make a video that doesn't just show how or what I do, but also how I think about doing it, and how I think about colors, and how I think about applications and so on. So there's going to be a lot of talk, I think, and I hope that is going to be useful for someone. So let's start painting. And when I was making this intro, I screwed up big time. Hey! I dropped the thing. Look at the fins. I broke both fins. I broke them both in at the bases here and out at the tips, and the tips were totally destroyed, so I had to make new tips. I planed them off at an angle here, at low angle, and I glued on some new wood, and I carved out new fin tips, and now I'm going to repair that and blend the colors so that everything is as it was before. That is going to take some time, and I will take some pictures of that too, or clips, so that I can show how I did that. Maybe not now, but later on. So, you know, this is all about learning by making mistakes, and this is hopefully going to be a learning experience. So, antiquing is the word I have heard for this thing that I'm going to do now. I don't really know if that's correct or if it's something else, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the structure in the carving to create a varied grayish silvery base pattern that I will put the paint on top of when the paint comes on, and that is going to help me create a natural looking variation in the color pattern. That is going to look more natural than if I just put even paint coats on top of an even bottom layer. And to do that, I'm going to use the airbrush. I usually don't use airbrush very much at all, but for the base coats I use airbrush just to put it on, because the variation in the color isn't there. It's in the details on top of that. So I'm going to put some paint on with an airbrush, and then I'm going to wipe it away again when it has set. And I'm going to mix paint, which is also unusual. I usually don't mix paint. I don't pre-mix paint, because that makes the paint coat very even. That's also unnatural. And I prefer putting different transparent paint coats on and creating the mixing by putting different colors on top of each other. They blend and mix when they are transparent. And it's going to be a light gray. And I don't use any transparency medium in this either, because that's going to build a thickness that I don't want in this. I usually mix by counting droplets of paint. That's 10 droplets of white. Let's see what one droplet of gray creates here. Or black, I mean. One. And then let's mix that. And that became a grayish white. I need maybe I need some more paint in, so I put in 10 more drops of white, and then I put 2 more drops of black, and we mix that. And I can just test it on some white paper here. That's okay. So I just put it on then. It's gray. Everywhere. Fins, head, scale pattern, all of it. That. Now the entire fish is covered with this grayish paint. And I ran out of it exactly at the right spot. So that's it. And to take out or bring out the texture is I use a sponge, an ordinary kitchen sponge with a little bit of a rough Scotch-Brite kind of surface here, and water. And I put water on first, let it soften up the slightly settled paint a bit, and then I can kind of brush the paint off with the sponge. I wipe it off with a piece of paper towel and go on doing this until the entire fish is textured like this. It's okay that it doesn't become exactly even. In the smoother surfaces like this adipose fin, for example, I still need some paint texture, and in the raid fins this is also good to bring out a paint situation that makes it easier to create a believable color on the fin when that's done. The reason that I don't use steel wool, as many do when they do this, is that I think it takes away too much of the fine structure in the. So I do it like this always, and it doesn't take much. And the only thing I have to do now is take something and wipe all this dirty water away. I think that is good. I have a pattern that will make it easy to make the paint coats look natural now. Before I start painting, I am going to try to make a little bit of a color analysis based on these pictures. I don't really have a plan here, and I never have. I just go as it feels. I add one color, see where it goes, and then another. But of course, I always spend some time thinking about what colors are on top and what colors are below and how they appear. And the thing I am thinking most about now is the yellow and red spot pattern and the greenish brown around them, around the spots. So I'm going to have to figure out how to make them, and I have made some observations. I believe that the yellow is in the bottom, and there is something else above creating this green hue. And around the red spots there are some bluish halos that are almost going white closer to the spot, that repeats itself in many different fish. So I am going to have to figure out a way to do that, and I think it's going to be like this. I believe that the green color here is actually a blue color on top of the yellow, blending to make it green, and where the red spots appear there is actually a white halo around the red spot, and when the blue comes on top of that it becomes bluish, the white halo. So it's the same blue there, I think, as the blue that mixes with the yellow to create this green. And from this picture I believe it's a grayish blue, like maybe Payne's gray, which is a favorite color of mine. And the plan is that I first put on the yellow, take away to create these white halos, then block it with the lacquer, so I can after that put on the green and remove the green where I want these spots and see how that turns out. I think that's a good way to create this. I made a few tests and just one test actually, and I'm trying to find the yellow tone there. I'm probably going to use more than one yellow to get to that tone, but anyway, I think I'm going to start with diarylide yellow, because it's a very sharp, intense yellow. It's a little bit whitish, which this isn't, but I think it's going to appear that way anyway on the silvery surface that I'm putting it on, and we'll see what happens. If I'm going to have there's a little green in the yellow too, and maybe I'm going to have to go a little green, and then my green yellow is a raw sienna, so probably that one will come in a little too later on. We'll see, but I'll start with the diarylide yellow, and my way to do this is I always use something called airbrush transparent extender, which is an extender for airbrush, but it's also a transparency medium. I can mix anything, any opaque paint with it, and then the paint becomes transparent. The transparency depends on how much paint towards extender I use, and I usually use a lot of extender, maybe at least 50%. It could be more too, but I'll count drops. 15 drops of that, and maybe 10 drops of the dyed yellow. Oh, it doesn't show. There. So, and we'll see how that turns out. And I'll use a smaller paintbrush to put the paint on, and then I'll put small bits of paint on and just stipple them out with a bigger brush. And when you dry stipple, it's important that the stippling brush is kept dry. And my way to do that is maybe a bit odd, but I use my painting arm to brush off any moisture. And I've done it that way for as long as I can remember, so it's going to be hard to make me do it any other way. I think I'm actually getting more or less exactly to the yellow that I want with this. We'll see, but I can do that and then put on the other colors to create the green, and then go back and just brighten the yellow up if I need to in the spots later on. That is going to work. So the next will be to create these white-blue halos around the red spots. And I do that by breaking through this yellow coating that I have put on and getting down to the silver antiqued bottom to start getting the white color of the halos. And I have here, this is denatured alcohol, 95%, and I have a paintbrush and I have some tissue paper, and the thing that I do is I just put on some alcohol, and then with the tissue paper I can dab it away, and by doing that I will break through and get this whitish halo. Not too much alcohol. It takes away the yellow at once. Of course, the distribution should be random, and that's something that is generally misunderstood by many, because random distribution isn't that it's about equal distances between the spots. It's more like some spots are very close together and some spots are almost alone in large surfaces. So the best way to get a random distribution to me is to just jump around. Not go from one end to the other, but jump around and never hesitate. Just put the spot in where you think you want it, and then go on to the next. Oh. Quality brushes. So this is a very good way to paint, to block the underlying layer of paint, then paint something on and break through it in different ways. I use it a lot. And what would the next step be then? It would be making this a green fish, a green-brown fish, which is adding some blue on top of this yellow to create a green hue and then tone it down to a brown. But before I do that, I need to seal this yellow the same way as I sealed the bottom layer, because when I have put on the green brown or the blue to make the green brown, I will use the same method to break through down to the yellow and create the yellow spots and the vermiculations. So that's the next step. I'll have to seal it first. It's done with an ordinary rattle can lacquer. Just ordinary, used for cars and other painting. And a very thin layer is enough. So I'll do that with a few quick sprays here. Just enough to get a small light coat. And then let that harden, and I can go on and make it, give it the green-brown hue. I have been experimenting a little, and it turned out that the right blue wasn't really Payne's gray. I think I'll come closer to the right hue with cobalt blue, and I'm going to spray this on because I have enough variation in the color already to make that look right. So I'll start by mixing a little cobalt blue and transparency agent in my airbrush. And I generally use more transparency agent than pigment color paint in my mixes to get the transparency. And I'm going to focus on getting the blue right in the spots, almost right anyway, and darkening this down to some kind of grayish green, brown green. It's going to have to be adjustments later on, of course, but I want this to become a good starting point for the paint color pattern. That's it. That's all I want. And this is a little bit too blue, so I'm going to have to green it up a little with the yellow again, going back and forth until I like what I have. There. See, we have blue spots now. Starting to look right. I'm going to have to make it stronger, of course. A little bit less opacity. About 1 to 2 there with pigment and transparency. And I don't want this to make the spots or the halos green, so I'm going to try to avoid them a little. Now, I'll go very light with the blue now. 2 drops. Let's see. Maybe I should open it. Yep. 10 drops of that. Something like that. Let's see. In the yellow areas. Not everywhere now. I think I'm getting there. I don't want this to be final. It's just going to become a good base to work with. When you want something blue-green to go darker, 2 shades are good to use. That's Payne's Gray and it's Raw Umber. Mixing those, or mixing, I'm not going to mix them, I'm going to put one on first and then the other. Will help you get down towards something blackish that isn't really black, but the dark tone that you want. And this is the way my painting works. I'm going from one shade to the other, back and forth, searching until I find what I want to have. Slowly, a little bit at a time. So now let's try some raw umber on this. Just wipe it out. And raw umber gets blackish with Payne's Gray. So now Payne's Gray. We'll stop here for now, and the next part will probably cover the spot pattern and the belly colors.